There is a very specific kind of silence that happens right before something explodes. Not the quiet of peace, but the quiet of tension. The kind that settles in a room like heavy fog, charged, electric, waiting for the first spark. That silence filled courtroom 73 at London's High Court this week. No broken bottles, no flying fists, just barristers in wigs, legal pads on polished desks, and one man sitting in the witness box who has spent his entire adult life at war with the press. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, California's most famous privacy campaigner, had come home to fight the media one more time. And this time, the stakes were enormous. Harry says they destroyed his life. He says they ruined his wife's happiness. He says they stalked, hunted, and surveilled him until paranoia became his daily reality. And yet, sitting there under oath, the irony was impossible to ignore. This is a man with a Netflix deal, a Spotify contract, a best-selling memoir, and a global platform who insists that his privacy has been violated beyond repair. A man who told the world about his frostbitten anatomy is now asking a British judge to believe that newspapers crossed an unforgivable line. If you've been scrolling Twitter, you've probably seen the headlines. They were explosive. Lawyers storming out. The case collapsing. Harry impossible to represent. Drama worthy of a courtroom thriller. It all fit perfectly into the narrative people already believe about him. Only most of it wasn't true. Nobody quit. Nobody walked out. David Sherburne is still Harry's barrister. The trial didn't implode. But what did happen inside that courtroom was, in many ways, far more revealing than the rumors. From the moment Harry entered the witness box, he seemed unsettled, defensive, bristly. He didn't sit comfortably. He didn't ease into his answers. He came out swinging. The judge intervened not once, not twice, but 3 times, urging him to answer questions directly. Harry wasn't there to perform. He wasn't there to emote. And yet, that's exactly what he kept doing. He spoke about disgust, about outrage, about how newspapers had no right to privacy themselves while denying it to him. He spoke about Meghan, about how the coverage made her life an absolute misery. And then came the moment that quietly undercut everything. Video clips, photos, public images released by the couple themselves. Dancing, smiling, celebrating. The unspoken question hung in the air. Does this look like a life of total misery? And then there was the bigger contradiction, the one no amount of legal argument can fully erase. Who has violated Harry's privacy more? The tabloids who printed stories sourced from friends, acquaintances, and palace leaks? Or Harry himself, who told us in graphic detail about drugs, sex, family fights, and physical ailments in spare? The courtroom didn't need to ask it out loud. Everyone was already thinking it. This case is massive. It isn't just about Harry. It's a multi-claimant lawsuit involving Sir Elton John, David Furnish, Sadie Frost, and Baroness Doreen Lawrence. The allegations are serious. Car bugging, landline tapping, private investigators, medical records obtained by deception, payments to police officers. If even some of it is true, it paints a deeply disturbing picture of British tabloid culture at its worst. Associated Newspapers denies every word. They call it fantasy, smears, guesswork dressed up as conspiracy. Their argument is ruthless and simple. First, they say it didn't happen. Second, they say even if it did, it's too late. Many of the alleged incidents date back decades. The law allows 6 years. Harry had money, lawyers, and access. Why now? That question hangs over everything. Because Harry wasn't powerless in the 1990s or 2000s. He wasn't invisible. And yet, he says the institution he lived within made it impossible to complain. Never complain, never explain, he told the court. A rule that, in his view, trapped him in silence while newspapers ran wild. He spoke about paranoia, about relationships breaking down because the press knew things only one other person should have known, about cutting friends off, about feeling hunted, about believing someone wanted to drive him toward addiction just to sell papers. And honestly, listening to those words, it's hard not to feel a flicker of sympathy. If someone really was bugging your car, you'd lose your mind too. But sympathy collides with reality when you remember What came next? Oprah, Netflix, podcasts, a memoir, interview after interview after interview. At some point, the message of "leave me alone" starts to blur when you keep stepping back into the spotlight. Harry is suing the industry he still relies on for relevance. He despises the media, yet feeds it constantly. Then came cross-examination, and this is where things truly turned. The defense suggested the information didn't come from hacking at all, but from Harry's own social circle. Friends, acquaintances, people he trusted. Their implication was brutal. "We didn't need to spy on you. You were leaking already." Harry rejected it outright. His social circle was not leaky, he insisted, but names surfaced. Parties resurfaced. Journalists he'd invited into his orbit resurfaced. One particular moment landed like a punch. A royal editor he later accused of wrongdoing had attended a party Harry himself invited her to. If true, it's deeply awkward. You don't get to invite someone in and later accuse them of breaking in. And then there was the private investigator whose statement was withdrawn after claims his signature had been forged. Legally, Harry's team says it doesn't matter. Narratively, it matters a lot. The defense seized it instantly. In cases like this, winning the story can be almost as powerful as winning the law. Spare loomed over everything. The defense didn't even need to be clever. They just quoted Harry's own words. How do you demand absolute privacy after monetizing your secrets on a global scale? Harry's answer was consent. He chose to tell his story. He didn't choose to have it stolen. Legally, that distinction matters. Publicly, it's a much harder sell. Judges don't care about feelings. They care about answers. And when Harry kept giving speeches instead of responses, the judge cut in. Firmly, calmly, answer the question. Nothing more. It wasn't humiliation. Witnesses get corrected all the time. But for a man who says he wants to be treated like everyone else, this was equality in action. Regular people get shut down in court too. The defense strategy is clear. Make Harry look unreliable, emotional, obsessed. The boy who cried tabloid. Because if the public stops believing him, the allegations themselves almost become irrelevant. It's ruthless. And it's working. And yet, here's the twist. Harry has won before. He beat the mirror. Phone hacking was proven. Settlements were paid. Apologies were issued. The Sun settled too. 8 figures. A full admission. These aren't illusions. They're receipts. Which means dismissing Harry entirely is just as foolish as treating him like a saint. This trial could reshape media ethics in Britain. Or it could collapse under the weight of its own contradictions. If Harry wins, it threatens an entire industry. If he loses, it confirms what his critics have been saying for years. Either way, he has bet everything on this moment. And that's the tragedy and the fascination of Prince Harry. He may be the worst messenger for this cause, and also the only one loud enough to force it into the light. Flawed people, flawed institutions, no heroes. No angels, just power, money, resentment, and a public that can't look away. Because whatever else you say about the Duke of Sussex, one thing is undeniable. He is the world's most public-private person, and he's never boring. Outside the courtroom, cameras waited like vultures. Every step Harry took was dissected, every facial twitch turned into a headline. Inside, though, the atmosphere was colder, sharper. This wasn't a media circus. This was a legal autopsy. And the defense knew exactly where to cut. Because here's the uncomfortable truth Harry keeps running into. You cannot spend years telling the world that you are traumatized by attention while simultaneously turning your trauma into premium content. The court doesn't judge vibes. It judges evidence. And when your own words are used against you, there's nowhere to hide. The defense didn't accuse Harry of lying outright. They didn't need to. Instead, they let him talk. They let him wander. They let him circle his own grievances again and again until the pattern emerged on its own. Every bad thing that ever happened to Harry in his telling came from the press. Every relationship breakdown, every fear, every crack in his life. The tabloids were always the villain. And when a story explains everything, people start doubting it explains anything. That's why the judge kept intervening. Not because Harry was being mistreated, but because he was being unfocused. Courtrooms don't care about moral outrage. They care about timelines, dates, proof, causation. Harry wanted to talk about pain. The court wanted to know who did what, when, and how. And this is where the limitation argument becomes lethal. Associated Newspapers keeps returning to the same point. If these things were happening, why wait decades? Harry says he couldn't act, that the institution prevented it, that complaining would only make things worse, that he was trapped. But the defense counters with something far harder to refute. You were rich, powerful, protected, and legally represented. And yet you did nothing. Until now. That delay doesn't automatically make him wrong, but it complicates everything. Because courts are deeply suspicious of hindsight justice, of memories sharpened by resentment, of narratives rewritten after relationships sour. Then came the Chelsea Davy testimony references. This part mattered more than people realize. Harry described fear, surveillance, intrusion, a sense that something terrible might happen. He said Chelsea felt hunted, that she was shaken, that their relationship suffered under the weight of press attention. Again, emotionally compelling, but legally, still thin. Fear is not proof. Paranoia is not evidence. And the defense seized on that gap mercilessly. They suggested alternative explanations. Friends talking, social circles gossiping, journalists being invited in, not breaking in. The idea wasn't that Harry was lying, but that he was assuming malice where mundanity might suffice. And assumptions are deadly in court. The moment Harry insisted his social circle was not leaky was the moment eyebrows went up. Because history tells a different story. Royal households have always leaked. Friends talk. Acquaintances brag. People trade access for relevance. This isn't a conspiracy. It's human behavior. And the defense's implication was chillingly simple. You didn't need to be hacked to be exposed. That's why the Katie Nicholl issue was so damaging. Because if a journalist is invited into your space, attends your parties, mingles freely, and then later writes stories about you, the word surveillance starts to sound exaggerated. Harry calling her a criminal collided head-on with her response. You invited me. That contradiction doesn't disappear just because you dislike the outcome. And then there was the withdrawn witness, the private investigator whose statement evaporated after claims of forgery. That moment was oxygen for the defense. They didn't even have to argue hard. They just had to let it sit there. An absence. A question mark. A crack in the foundation. Harry's team insists it doesn't matter. Maybe legally it doesn't. But trials like this don't exist in a vacuum. They exist in public consciousness. And public consciousness runs on perception, not footnotes. Spare returned like a ghost at every turn. The defense framed it not as bravery, but as contradiction. You cannot argue that your privacy is sacred while selling it chapter by chapter. Harry's consent argument is legally sound, but emotionally fragile. Because to most people, privacy isn't about who chooses to speak. It's about whether you speak at all. The judge didn't appear hostile. If anything, he seemed patient. But patience has limits. And when Harry kept drifting into speeches about disgust and injustice, the reminder was blunt. This isn't about how you feel. This is about what you can prove. That moment matters. Because it strips Harry of the one thing he's relied on for years: moral authority. In interviews, emotion wins. In documentaries, vulnerability wins. In court, neither matters unless it's anchored to evidence. And that's the gamble Harry has taken. He didn't settle. He didn't accept a quiet payout and an apology. He wanted vindication. He wanted judgment. He wanted history to record that he was right. But history is ruthless. It doesn't care about intent. It cares about outcomes. Meanwhile, the irony continued outside the courtroom. Meghan's social media posts, curated glimpses, children in pools, gardens on display, moments voluntarily shared with millions. For critics, it was devastating optics. If privacy is oxygen, Harry keeps opening the windows himself. And yet, Here's the part people keep missing. This case is bigger than Harry. Much bigger. Elton John is not a paranoid prince. Doreen Lawrence is not a celebrity chasing relevance. If their allegations hold, this isn't about hurt feelings. It's about systemic abuse of power, which means Harry might be doing something historically important while also undermining himself at every turn. That's the paradox. He is both credible and compromised, vindicated by past victories, weakened by overexposure. A man who might be right and still lose. Because courts don't reward righteousness. They reward restraint. And Harry has never been good at restraint. As the trial grinds on, the question isn't just whether the tabloids hacked phones or bugged cars. It's whether Harry can ever convince the world that he values privacy more than attention. Because until that contradiction is resolved, every argument he makes will collapse under its own weight. And that's what makes this trial so compelling. Not the legal arguments, not the celebrity names, but the slow, methodical unraveling of a story Harry has spent years telling. This time under oath, this time without Oprah, this time without editing rights. And the scariest part for Harry? This time, he doesn't control the narrative. As the days pass and the testimony piles up, something subtle but unmistakable is happening. The trial is no longer just about newspapers. It's about credibility, about whether the court believes Prince Harry understands the difference between harm done to him and harm he feels has been done to him. And that distinction is where cases like this live or die. Because here's the thing no one in Harry's camp wants to say out loud. Courts are deeply uncomfortable with crusades. They don't like being used as moral stages. They don't like litigants who arrive already convinced of their own righteousness and expect the law to simply rubber stamp it. And Harry, whether he realizes it or not, walks into that courtroom carrying years of grievance like armor. Heavy, inflexible armor. The defense knows this. They're not trying to prove Harry is evil or dishonest. They're trying to prove something far more effective. That Harry is unreliable. That his memory is shaped by resentment. That his interpretations are colored by anger. That his certainty does not equal truth. Every time Harry says, "I believe," "I felt," or "I assumed," the defense quietly ticks another box. Belief is not evidence. Feeling is not proof. Assumption is not fact. And Harry, despite years of legal advice, keeps blurring those lines. The judge's role here is lonely. No jury. No applause. Just one man tasked with slicing through months of testimony and deciding what survives legal scrutiny. And judges, especially in cases like this, are instinctively conservative. They don't like precedent that opens floodgates. They don't like judgments that rewrite entire industries unless the evidence is overwhelming. That's the mountain Harry has chosen to climb. The tabloids are betting that even if some wrongdoing occurred, Harry won't be able to prove this publisher did these acts to him in a way that survives cross-examination. That the allegations are too broad, too old, too speculative, too entangled with his own voluntary disclosures. And here's the brutal part. They might be right. Because even if phone hacking happened, even if investigators crossed lines, even if police were bribed, Harry still has to show causation. He has to show that these specific stories could not have come from anywhere else. Not friends, not staff, not chance, not his own openness. That's an incredibly high bar. Meanwhile, public patience is thinning. Sympathy fatigue is real. Every time Harry speaks, critics hear repetition. The same villains, the same wounds, the same refusal to accept complexity. And when a narrative never evolves, audiences stop listening. That's what makes this moment so dangerous for him. Because if the court rejects his claims, it won't just be a legal loss. It will be a symbolic one. The press will frame it as vindication, as proof that Harry cried wolf, as confirmation that his war with the media was always personal, not principled. And once that framing sticks, it will follow him forever. Future lawsuits will be harder. Future interviews will be met with skepticism. Every claim will be filtered through this verdict. Was he wrong then too? Was he exaggerating? Was it all grievance masquerading as justice? On the other hand, if Harry wins, even partially, the consequences are seismic. Not just for Associated Newspapers, but for the entire tabloid ecosystem. Because another defeat would confirm a pattern. Mirror, Sunday Mail. One by one, the pillars of British tabloid journalism would be exposed as operating outside the law for decades. That's why this fight is so vicious. This isn't about damages. It's about survival. The press cannot afford to lose again. Not financially, not reputationally. Another admission of unlawful behavior would fuel more claims, more lawsuits, more scrutiny. It would embolden regulators. It would rewrite the rules of celebrity coverage in Britain. So they are fighting with everything they have. And Harry, whether he likes it or not, is their perfect opponent. Famous enough to matter. Flawed enough to undermine himself. Emotional enough to be provoked. He is both sword and shield, and sometimes his own worst enemy. As the trial stretches toward its conclusion in late March 2026, the tension won't ease. It will sharpen. Witnesses like Elton John and David Furnish will testify remotely. Elizabeth Hulley will take the stand. Each brings credibility Harry alone cannot. Each also raises the stakes. Because if these claims fall apart under scrutiny, it won't just damage Harry. It will damage everyone standing beside him. And that's the quiet tragedy of this case. Harry might genuinely believe he is fighting for justice, for reform, for a better media culture. But his personal baggage threatens to drown out the very cause he claims to champion. He wanted this to be a reckoning, a line in the sand, a moment where the press would finally be held accountable. Instead, it may become the moment the world decides it's tired of hearing him speak. And yet, despite all of that, despite the contradictions, the missteps, the self-inflicted wounds, one thing remains undeniably true. This trial matters. It matters because power should be questioned, because surveillance should never be normalized, because journalism without ethics is not journalism at all. Harry may not be the hero of this story. He may not even be likable. But history doesn't always choose its messengers wisely. When the judgment finally comes, it will not deliver the clean ending anyone wants. There will be no clear villains, no pure victims, no triumphant finale. Just a ruling, pages of legal reasoning, and a legacy altered forever. If Harry loses, he will return to California branded as the prince who went too far. If he wins, he will still return to California as the most exposed privacy advocate in the world. Either way, this war ends the same way all wars with the media do. No winners, only survivors. And Harry, he will keep talking. The press will keep watching. And the world will keep listening. Not because it agrees with him, but because it can't look away.